Hi, I'm Bradley Issa, Director of Affordable Housing for Locations. And today I wanted to talk to you about making choices. And today we'll talk about housing, and it's specifically senior housing. So as we grow older, one of the things that happens is we start to lose our abilities. Our abilities such as our physical abilities, maybe running or jumping, but sometimes we also lose our social abilities. We may lose a friend or a parent or an aunt or uncle, really treasured relationships that you had your entire life and you never thought that you'd go without it. So as we grow older, what we want to try and do is keep the choices, the situations where we can make decisions, where we can determine what our future is going to be like. And that's what I wanted to talk to you today about. I'm with Locations, and what we do in affordable housing is we manage senior independent living facilities. At these facilities, you would have a choice. One of the greatest griefs in life is to have no choice. And that is a really true statement. One of the most frustrating things for people to go through is that they end up somewhere in life, like let's say a care home or even a family member's home that they really didn't want to be in. And so their outlook on life decreases, they get a lot more depressed. And what we want to do is keep those things that are important to you. The worst thing to do is to not make a choice at all, is to kind of sit back and think, you know what, I'm used to what I'm doing right now. I'm comfortable. I really don't have to do anything. I just want to live out life like this. But I'm here today to talk to you about some of your options. Sometimes in life, the media presents a very happy and glorious picture of what your retirement or your senior years are supposed to be like. Lots of people laughing, you're surrounded by lots of people, and you're always happy. And sometimes that puts a lot of stress on us. What we found is that people usually go into two different categories. They'll become very social, and they'll be outgoing and go on trips and hikes and all kinds of things, and like to be very active. And then sometimes they want to be a little more, they want to slow down. They want to live a more contemplative lifestyle. Maybe they would go hiking, but it's a stroll. And, they go to the beach, but they'd like to sit on the bench, look out at the sunset, and think about things, So what we found, or what researchers have found, is that neither of those are bad or good. It's just a choice. And sometimes in life, we need to do one, and maybe for a few months, you spend it going out and having fun. And then you realize, I've been around people too much. I need my time to kind of kick back, read a good book, think about things. And so you need that time of life too. So what we do at Locations is we manage what's called independent living facilities. Right now, we have 21 properties from Waianae to Molokai. And what they're set up to be is a regular apartment building, but with a lot of features and amenities that would help someone in their later years to have those choices. So, for example, most of them were developed with safety in mind. What they want to think about is, are the bathrooms set up so that I could put in a grab bar or have a handyman install a grab bar so I don't fall? Or are the grounds grip, do they grip enough that I can, not worry about tripping? And what about safety? So safety could mean things like, making sure that I don't trip or fall, or if I do, that someone would know about it. But safety can also mean security, that the buildings are locked, that there's someone on site who I could call, if something went wrong, if someone was bothering me, that sort of thing. So a lot of these features are taken into consideration when the developer is building them. So when we're thinking about senior housing, we're thinking of a very relatively small unit. It's very straightforward, and if you take a look at the design, it's a very, I guess it's sort of boxy, and it looks, you can see the kitchen as soon as you come into the door, and then the living room, and the bedroom, and the bathroom. Now, one of the things about these units, they're made small so that you don't have to clean so often, and it's not such a big chore to do that. But at the same time, you have access, like let's say if you're asleep and you want to go to the bathroom, then you don't have to walk all the way through the house to get to the bathroom. It's very close, and when you get there, it's well lit, it's very big. If you happen to need a wheelchair, there's lots of space for that. And so these units are built with those things in mind. So we're talking about a unit between 403 to 741 square feet. And yes, that is pretty small. But, and they come in studio, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. At our senior properties, some of the amenities we have would be an on-site social worker at select locations. And they can help you find community services such as Section 8 or welfare or food stamps. Don't you ever wonder, if you did qualify? I know it's very hard to be on a fixed income. If you're in a position where you're only receiving, let's say, Social Security and a pension or something like that, something that really doesn't change much, you're not able to just work more or work harder or work faster to make more money. This is pretty much it. But didn't you also wonder in the back of your mind, I wonder if I could qualify for food stamps? I wonder what would happen if I just put my name on the Section 8 wait list? What would the benefits be? How would I do it? That's what an on-site social worker could help you with. And like I said, some of the other amenities, the buildings are secured. They're locked, and normally you'd need a key or a fob to get into the building. And we can tell if that fob has been used to get into the building and what time and what day. Most of the units are air conditioned. They have usually a window mount unit in there. Actually all of our properties have an on-site laundry, so you don't have to walk far to go to get your clothes cleaned. In fact, a lot of our senior buildings, it'd be right on the floor that you live on or the floor below it. And one of the best things is that there's a resident manager there, or another staff member. During the regular business day, you can go down and talk to the resident manager about any kind of maintenance problems you may have, if you have problems with even another tenant, or if you have problems with knowing if you qualify for the project or not. Our staff are there to help and assist you in anything you need. Although they are regular staff, they are not medical personnel. If you did need help with medical, an emergency, you would have to call 911. So, some of the qualifications. Normally, you'd have to be either over 55 years old or over 62 years old. Your income would have to be under $36,000. We'd also do a credit check and criminal background check. So from the time that you first apply, you'll write down all of the information you have. We'll ask for your name, your contact information, like your phone number or email if you have it, a work number if you happen to still be working, that sort of thing. And then we'll ask how many people are going to live, in the unit with you. And then we'll also ask for all of your financial information. So that'll include things like Social Security and pension and employment, and if family members just give you money, as a gift, on a regular basis. We'll also ask you about any assets you have. So checking accounts, savings accounts, mutual funds, stocks, those sort of things. So when you're filling out this application, do it to the best of your ability, and we ask that you make sure that your name and your contact information is correct and that you sign the back of it, because that's what we need really to start the process going. And we ask that you do your best to fill out the financial information, but we understand. Sometimes you may forget about something. You may actually not know that you have, certain things. And so we'll do a face-to-face sit-down interview with you. And we'll go into everything line by line. So we'll make sure that you actually do qualify for the property. When we ask to see your bank statements, what we're going to do is take your bank statements, your statements from your stocks and mutual funds, and we'll go and have you fill out a verification form. We'll send it to your bank, and hopefully within a few days, they'll send it back to us with the information we just requested. Of course, you're going to have to authorize it. You'll have to sign for it. We cannot do that on our own. And this is the part of the process that takes the most time. Normally, when we send it to someone, they may get it back to us in maybe a couple of days. But sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes they never get back to us. And so there's other ways to get around that, but we do have to go through a specific process. So this includes things like your bank accounts, mutual funds, but also things like life insurance. And if you happen to own property, and if you happen to own, the kind of older style savings bonds, those sort of things, we'll have to look into all of that as well. So at the end of the process, we're going to put it all together, make it go through all the formulas that we have to, calculate, and we'll come out with your income. And once we get that, we'll see if it's under the limit, and if it is, then everything looks okay. Then we can go on to moving you in physically. And so we'll need security deposit and your first month's rent. And normally we'd ask for that in the form of a money order or a cashier's check. Some of the things that we talked about today were designed to give you a choice. When you move into an independent living facility, you have the choice of what kind of life to live. Something a little faster paced, something a little slower paced, or a mix of things. And so what we offer in independent living facilities is that choice. And we look forward to seeing you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. You can contact us at locationshawaii.com, or you can contact me directly. Hope to see you soon. Bye. So the difference between what we're talking about, which is private housing versus public housing. Private housing is owned by a private entity, normally a nonprofit. For the most part, no one makes a whole lot of money on it. The rents are kept low, and it's the owners are, for the most part, volunteers who want to see affordable housing, as low rent as possible, but with very high quality. So when you see privately owned affordable housing property, it looks very different from what you would think. There's a multi-purpose room. Some of our multi-purpose rooms were designed by commercial interior designers that you would only have on higher end properties. And even the furniture around the building, commercial grade normally. And even the building exterior is normally, painted nicely, and the landscaping is, a lot nicer. I know when people think about public housing, they think that it's lower end, not kept up well, and that sort of thing. And nothing against public housing, but they do have a longer process to get things done. In a private housing facility, we have a budget and we get things done. If you are interested in learning about more resources, we do have our Locations website. Our rentals website is called locationsrentals.com. We have both affordable housing and regular market rentals. So we manage one of the largest amount of properties on Oahu. And so it's a very good site, backed by a very strong web engine. Our developers have put together a very easy to use website, and it's a great place to start. If you're interested in other properties that we don't manage, there are a lot of other resources in the community, such as the Oahu Housing Guide. That's put out by the Catholic Charities Hawaii. They put together a list of all of the affordable housing properties on Oahu and every other island. It's updated normally every other year. And so when you take a look at it, maybe the rents wouldn't be exactly what they are right now, but it is a very good starting place. And contacting Catholic Charities Hawaii is a very good place to start. They have a housing division that will help you as best as they can find you a good property, get you onto a good wait list, and try and help you along the process. So let's walk through the application process. Honestly, it's not as hard as you think. There's a regular application to fill out, and all you do is hand that in, and the rest of the process is starts when we contact you. But let's start from the beginning. The application itself. The application is very straightforward. There are no trick questions on it, and what we're going to ask you for it overall is just your basic information about yourself and then financial information. And that's pretty much it. So let's start with the first page. On the first page, we'll ask you what your name is, your contact information, such as your phone number, your work number if you have it, maybe a cell phone, email, that sort of thing. Below that, we'll ask for the information of everyone else who will live in the unit with you. If there's no one, then that makes it even that much easier. But if you happen to have someone else living with you, we'd ask how you're related to them, if you're related to them at all, and some of the same basic information. After that, we'll ask you about your student status. Under a lot of these programs, you cannot be a full-time student, or the household cannot be made up entirely of full-time students. And so we'll ask you about that. And there are a lot of exemptions to it, so I wouldn't just write it off if you are a full-time student. After that, we'll ask you about your income. So income can be funds from Social Security, maybe employment, maybe a pension that you had, maybe a pension that your spouse had that transferred over to you. It might be disability payments, that sort of thing. It could also be, from time to time, maybe a relative gives you a certain amount of money to help you with the rent or with food or that sort of thing. And that's something else that we count. After that, we'd ask you about your assets. So assets aren't really counted in most of our program. We're asking about assets because we would want to know what kind of income comes from the assets. And what that means is, let's say you had a bank account, let's say a savings account. How much interest does it have? If you had a whole lot of money in there and you had a pretty good interest rate, maybe you're making some money off of it. And we count that, that amount towards your income. And the same thing goes with mutual funds. If you have bonds or stocks, sometimes people have a certificate of deposit, and some more unusual things would be like a coin collection that you have as an investment, or antique cars, or anything like that. We count that towards your income. After that, we'd ask you about a lot of regular tenant questions. If you have a pet, if you have a car, what kind of car? Do you need a parking stall? We might even ask you, do you need a certain size unit? Do you need a really big unit, or with a lot of bedrooms, or a very small one? And then we ask for your personal references. Now the hard part, I guess, about all of this is that each property is owned by a different owner. What we do is we manage the properties on behalf of the owner. And so because of that, we'll need a different application for every property. And I know it's it sounds like a very hard thing, especially since we manage, about 21 properties. But what you could do is just fill out one application and make copies of it. So it's not that bad. And the big question is, how long will it take, right? From the time that I fill out an application and hand it into your main office, how long until I can move in? Sometimes it can be as quick as about 2 weeks. If there was no wait list, and some of our properties don't have any wait list, we could probably process things very quickly. But sometimes there is a long wait list, and those properties can take quite a long time. It could take up to 3 years in some instances. So what I would do is fill out an application. Put your name in. It doesn't hurt. And what we will do is tell you, this wait list, it might take a little while. Or this one, well, we have no one on this wait list. Normally, the properties that are farther out from town will have a smaller wait list. So the ones in town might have a wait list of maybe 200 people, but the wait lists out in Waianae have almost 0. And of course, the one on Molokai is wide open. So what I would suggest is fill out that application, and you can drop it off to our main office, which is at 614 Kapahulu Avenue on the 1st floor, or you can drop it off to any one of our properties. If you need help and you have any questions, you can always contact the property you're interested in. They can answer any questions and provide any help that you need. But remember, all you need to do to fill out that application is do your best, writing it out, and we will meet with you face to face, sit down with you, and we'll go over line by line, with you. So don't worry too much about it. Just get that application in. And for now, I'm speaking about locations and our services. But there are other properties that are managed by other companies, and they basically have, roughly the same, procedure. You can always go to them, apply, and be put on a wait list.